What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. It's Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We're going to talk about guitar stuff. We're going to go through some of the questions that have come in over the last month. This is our No Such Thing as a Dumb Question episode. I try to do these once every 6 weeks or so. Try to go back through some of the comments and get some of the good questions out of there, some of the funny questions, some of the etc. If you have guitar questions, get in the chat down below, and you can ask a question as well. And yeah, that'd be awesome. We will be a couple things before we get started. Go over to DylanTalksTone. You can scan that little thing right there, and that will get you in front of a bunch of Telecaster stuff. So we're doing a fun Telecaster upgrade week this week. We did a video about it yesterday talking about tele upgrades. We're going to probably have some of those questions come up in our little list of questions in here in a minute. But if you have Telecaster questions, if you have questions about Telecaster upgrades, get them in there. Put a bunch of question marks in front of it, and we'll get to it. So that'll be cool. Hello, everybody who has come and joined us so far. Looks like we got a super chat from Tazzy Tim. Hello. Thank you. Good day, Dylan. That's what he says to me. He is coming all the way from Australia, so that's pretty cool. It's probably already tomorrow over there. So yeah, man. Awesome. Well, let's talk some guitar stuff and get some questions answered, shall we? This will be fun. Like I said, if you have questions, get them in the chat over here. Put a bunch of question marks in front of them. I'll try to get them out, pick them out, and we'll answer them as we go. Let's see. Some of these are funny. Some of these are serious. Some of these are hard questions. Some of them are easy ones. Let's see. Let me figure out how to do this. Okay. Oh, I guess the first one is kind of a fun one. Cool skull ring, dude. Where can I get this same one? That's this ring right here that everybody sees all the time. There's a website called, and I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get any kind of anything from them. I just like them. I think they're really cool. It's called alltribes.com, and they are sort of it's basically like a marketplace for Native American artists. And most of the stuff is very traditional. You know, I've got a bunch of pieces of actual like Navajo jewelry and stuff like that, bolo tie, some, stuff like that, copper, various things. But this is from that website. It's one of the less traditional pieces, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so there you go. Alltribes.com. Go and check that out. Okay, so first other question. Let's see. I would have liked to have seen. Okay, so this is a video about Telecaster pickups. I would have liked to hear you address the impact of the steel ashtray bridge. That must be DHL picking up somebody's pickups to go to. Oh, was it? Okay. I would like to hear you address the impact of the steel ashtray bridge extending to the pickup, as there's a lot of talk about how important it is to the sound, and if you're going to be definitive, that should be discussed. I was literally waiting for you to get to that part, and that's why I have these three cards. Okay, so what he's asking about is how much does the steel of the bridge have an effect on the tone of a Telecaster? I'm going to tell you not really any at all. And here's why. The magnets aren't strong enough. Okay. So the magnetic field of a single coil pickup is vertical, largely. It's also a little bit horizontal, right? Because it's got to go out through the pickup coil. But we're talking about 1/4 of an inch. And by the time it gets to the outside of the pickup, you're not getting a whole lot of... The magnetic field doesn't go that far. Okay. Basically, is what it comes down to. And the bridge, as it surrounds the coil, does not reshape the magnetic field in any meaningful way. If we were to, like the plate on the bottom of the pickup, that actually reshapes the magnetic field. But here's the thing. It does it because it's on the end of the magnet. And you would say, well, it's only from here to here. It's like this close. But that's a lot. When we're talking about the magnetic dipole moment of a pickup being like less than an eighth of an inch across and, you know, not very tall. It's like, I don't know, 50 thousandths or something. It's just not enough. And so, and here's the other thing is that when you have two perpendicular planes, like you do, like the base plate of the pickup, and then you have the magnet, the coil, right? And then you have that other one, but there's a gap in it. It just completely loses its effectiveness to reshape the magnetic field, if that makes sense. If it was attached, like if it was, if that metal went all the way to the magnets and actually touched the magnets, and then there was coil wound on the bottom of it and coil wound on the top of it, like it would, like let's say the bridge of the Telecaster intersected the coil and actually was within the coil and then went all the way into the magnets, then you could say, okay, that could actually reshape the magnetic field some. But that little distance makes all the difference in the world. When you look at the formula, and this is why magnetic string pull is such a myth. When you look at the formula for how much magnetic field decays as you move away from the magnet, it's exponential. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. And this is why, well, the neck pickup pulls on it doesn't. It can't. Mathematically, science, it can't. Well, that's on the end of the pickup. On the side, which is even less, that bridge doesn't even make any difference. Yeah, pretty interesting. It's an interesting thing, though. Have you seen the Fender Lavender Haze color from Chicago Music? Very cool. Not as cool as TTG 59 Cadillac Rose, though. Yeah, I did see that, actually. I like the ashtray for a hand rest. I've been criticized for that. That's okay, different or not. Yeah, I mean, I like the bridges. I think they're awesome. Okay. Talking about, oh man, we got a lot of comments on the Cobalt strings of all things. Almost 9-minute quote unquote string review video and not a single word about how they sound. DylanTalksTone, title correction, change that last word to time. Okay. This was a big conversation actually in this review. A lot of folks really, first of all, I think if you personally attack, I think people feel personally attacked if you don't like the same strings as them. It's a weird thing. The reason we went that whole video without talking a whole lot about tone, and I said it in the video, so if you were this guy, you just weren't paying attention. The tone wasn't relevant to me because the strings sucked. Okay. There's more than when we look at a guitar. Okay. And I wish people would really think about this because it's really important. Okay. Your interaction with your physical interaction, the mechanical interaction that you have, your fingers moving and bending and going across the strings and grabbing the neck and using the plectrum or your fingers, whichever, however you want to say that, and how it sits in your lap, all those mechanical actions are important to tone. That's why they say tone is in the hands, because how you hold the guitar has a lot to do with it. It has more to do with it than you think. Therefore, if the mechanical action of the strings is subpar to the point that I cannot make effective use of them, then the tone is irrelevant. I did not like how they felt. I did not like how they worked. I did not like anything about them. It just didn't matter. And I did say in the video, they just sound like normal strings. I don't know what I am supposed to do. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, they're bright. They're not bright. they're dead feeling, they're dead sounding, or they're just eh. I mean, how much more description do you need, right? I'm not going to give you a frequency plot for a set of strings. I'm just not going to do it. It's not practical. It doesn't make sense. Even before that, if they don't work for me, then the tone doesn't matter. If the neck profile doesn't work for you, then the tone doesn't matter. If the guitar is too heavy for you, then the tone, but what about the tone, bro? If you can't hold it up, if you can't hold the guitar up, then the tone doesn't matter. Like if you can't mechanically interact with the guitar, if you don't like the color, if you, for some reason, have another negative reaction to the guitar before you even get to the tone, then the tone doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the tone is actually a result of all the other things that come before it. So therefore, if you cannot get that far, then it doesn't matter. End of story. If the guitar is too light, if it's too heavy, if it's too ugly, if you don't like the story of the builder, if you don't like the builder, if there is a negative thing in your head about this guitar, all those things come before the tone because the tone is a result of everything else. I don't understand why people don't get that. You did not like them in a box. You did not like them with a box. Exactly. I don't understand why people don't get that. It's a weird thing for me. And strings are very like how they feel on now I might like them on a different guitar. I don't know. I kind of doubt it though. I just didn't like how they felt. It just didn't make sense. I think sometimes, and again, so this is an excellent example. This happened to me. Okay. Let's talk about this too. I can say, all right. So this is a premium pocket knife. Okay. Now I can say that this pocket knife is worth it to me, because of all these reasons. And I could go through it, right? I could say that Les Paul over there is worth it to me because of all these reasons. You could pick up the same pocket knife and say, it's not worth it. I'll just take the one from Home Depot. And then you could say, you know what? I'll just buy a Harley Benton instead because you don't see the same things that I see. No big deal. Absolutely no big deal. The same exact thing happened to me. You buy Cobalts, you spend a little extra money, and you see their worth. I bought the Cobalts, spent the extra money, and I didn't see their worth. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. And I just can't do it. I don't know. I just don't like them. So there, and it could be that I got a bad set. I mean, I did say that too. It could be I got a bad set. Will a Tele had its pickups replaced by two Strat pickups? Will it sound like a Strat or will it be something in between? Something in between, because mechanically the breakover angle and to be honest with you, it'll sound more like a Strat because there's two things that really affect how a Tele sounds, and that is the base plate on the bridge pickup and the cover on the neck pickup. Hey Dylan, I'm wondering what were your thoughts on the Tele Deluxe? They're great. I think they're awesome. I wrote on this channel 8 weeks ago that I had surgery on my left hand, not being able to play. It was killing me. Well, I'm playing a bit now. Awesome, dude. No, that's great. That's great. Good. I'm glad. I saw a Tele bridge pickup that was a staple pickup. My question is, what is a staple pickup supposed to do? Just sound different because the magnets are a different shape. Hot take. The Squier Classic Vibe is much better than for at least $100 less than the standard. You could call that a hot take, I guess, but here's the reason why you're wrong. Oh, well, okay. I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay, let's say you're not. I'm not going to say you're wrong. It's apples and oranges. People keep wanting to make the Classic Vibe standard comparison, but guess what? They're two different guitars. They're two different guitars. Totally. The Classic Vibe Strat and the standard Strat are two completely different instruments. You can't compare them. Why? Because the Classic Vibe is a vintage spec guitar with a different bridge, with different pickups, with different everything. The goal of that guitar and the vibe that it is supposed to hit is a different vibe than the Standard. The Standard is a modernly appointed guitar, and the Classic Vibe is a vintage appointed guitar. It's apples and oranges. The fact that one is cheaper than the other might make one a better value to you personally, but they're different instruments. Now, if they were both appointed exactly the same way, with exactly the same kind of hardware, and then you could just go through there and look at everything very specifically, then you could make that argument. And you can make whatever argument you want, I guess. But if we're being honest about this and we're being really objective, you can't compare them because it's apples and oranges. They're both fruit and they're both awesome, but you use them for different things and they go in different dishes. It's just how it is. Now, personally, I'm going to buy a Classic Vibe because I like the vintage appointments better. But I like the neck on the Standard better. So it just kind of depends on what you want, right? I bought the Classic Vibe with the Bigsby, and that thing is awesome. I agree. I think those things are really cool. All right. Do you tin your soldering iron tip? Oh, crap. I think I skipped something here. Yes, I do. Why are pickup magnets magnetized in place? Why not use already magnetized magnets? That is an excellent question. We don't use any pre-magnetized. There's a couple. Ceramic magnets we use pre-magnetized. I think our Alnico 8s come pre-magnetized. Everything else we magnetize here in-house. The reason we do it is because I want to have control over it. I want to know consistently that my stuff is right. I want to know that the numbers, because I have a Gauss meter and I can check everything, and we check and make sure that everything's right. The other reason is it saves a lot of time. Think of it this way. If you have a Strat pickup, okay, and you've got 6 individual magnets, and they've all got to be the polarity's got to be all the same direction, right? So like north up or south up. And if you've got them all in a bag, you've got to sit there with a polarity checker and make sure that they all face the same direction. Then as you install them in the pickup, right? Because that pickup is a bunch of pieces. A Strat pickup is 8 pieces, 10 pieces to start with. Okay. It's eyelets. It's an upper flat work. It's a lower flat work, and it's 6 magnets. We press all that stuff together here. It's all loose parts. So if you have 6 magnets, you got to make sure they face all the same direction. It's way time consuming. If I don't have to think about that and I go, you know what? Okay, I'm going to assemble it, and then I'm going to wind it, and then I'm going to go over to the magnetizer. I'm going to magnetize it. It saves a bunch of time, and it makes the product a lot more consistent. And honestly, consistency is more important than time. But when you're making 75 of them a day, time then also becomes a factor. Let's see. Is it worth putting a replacement Wormuth neck on a Classic Vibe? If you want to do it, then it's worth it. I like the neck that's on a Classic Vibe already, but the cool part about Wormuth stuff is you can have a spec. You can have whatever spec you want, right? You can make it cool. You know, you could do all kinds of neat stuff. Now, there's going to be people that say, well, that guitar is only X amount of dollars and the neck costs this much, and so it's not worth it. Don't listen to those people. Those people aren't spending your money. It's your money. It's your guitar. And the level of enjoyment that you feel you're going to get out of that instrument by making that change, if you think it's worth it, then do it. Don't listen to the people on the internet that tell you it's not. And that's why I'm not going to tell you to not do it, because I think that if you find value in it, then do it. A step up from Squier, the CVs are at least equal. Well, I think we covered that. They're not. And here's what I will tell you too, for those of you that want to bang on about this. The the hardware on the standard is better. If let's say you have to take the guitar apart X amount of times, you're going to have to replace screws a lot sooner on the classic vibe than you are on the Strat, on the standard Strat. The standard stuff, the metallurgy is better. The screws are better. The stuff is better. The parts are better. The neck is good. The frets are good. Like, it's a good guitar. People, I don't know what the aversion to allowing that guitar to be good is. I don't understand it. Why we just, you know what? We don't like it, therefore it's not good. I don't get it, because it is good. It's a great guitar. I don't get it. I really don't understand what the deal is there. All right. Here's a question. I'm a weirdo because I like both my volume knobs up top and tone knobs on the bottom versus volume front and tone back. I don't really like to fiddle with volume apart from using pedals in song. I don't see a question in that, but I get it. I mean, control things are fun. If you have the wherewithal to screw around with control layouts, that's pretty neato. Next question. Here we go back to the string stuff. I cannot agree with you about these strings. Maybe you just had bad luck. Well, I did say that I might have a bad set. It's true. I tested them 2 times on my Fender 2 Strat, and must say that I can confirm no of your complaint about them. Maybe English is a second language for him. That's okay. They last very long and sound great. And by the way, so also other people know how to string guitars. It's not rocket science. I mean, I know how to string a guitar too. I string a lot of them. Yeah, people got really bent about that. It's kind of weird. Are your Les Pauls noisy? Mine is. Have you painted conductive shielding paint before on yours? That's not worth doing. No, they are not. What about copper tape? Do not put copper tape in your control cavity. Don't do it. If it is a real Les Paul, it will have a plate in there that all the stuff is on, and you don't need to do it. It's a shield. If it is an Epiphone, then all of the pots are grounded together. There's no reason to put. I'm gonna say this real slow, and I hope everybody gets it. The wires in the control cavity are not where the noise comes from. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. The noise does not come from the wires in the control cavity. See, I said it both ways, so hopefully everybody got it. Noise comes from pickups. Noise comes from lights, electromagnetic interference that comes through the air, hits the pickups, and then gets amplified by the amplifier. Your wires in the guitar are not an antenna, okay? They have to be coiled to be an antenna. Remember the old AM antenna that you'd plug into the back of your radio? It was wires wrapped around that hoop, right? That's what your pickups are doing. So, and humbuckers are going to be as quiet as they're going to be. So that's what I would say. Let's see here. Got Chris Fesker from Texas Toast Guitars texting me right now, asking for some pickups. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Can putting high quality pots, switches, and wiring in cheaper guitars make a noticeable difference in output volume? Maybe not volume, but clarity and definition for sure. Yeah, definitely. Did you hear from Hosco Parts? I want to build a Tele with them, but don't know if it sounds like a Fender Tele. I have never heard of them. Yeah. Previously, you said that there's a difference in tone of the neck pickup with the cover versus the clear acrylic. And that you said it again today. So would you not recommend the acrylic on a neck pickup? Oh, no, no. No, what I'm getting at is it's not okay. Let's let's talk about this for a second. But it makes a difference in the tone. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Like there's a difference between red and green too. So don't choose the green one. Don't choose the red one. Like that doesn't make sense. When we design, and here's what I'm going to tell you. Every pickup builder, if they put thought into this, they can design around whatever you want, right? So our neck pickups that are made out of the acrylic are made a little bit different, tiny little bit different, to compensate for the fact that they don't have covers on them. The ones with covers are made a little bit different, but they sound the same because you can compensate for stuff by design. So, and just because something sounds different doesn't mean it sounds bad, right? People always want to say, I hate that. Yeah, but it sounds different. Yeah, but different's not bad. Like, you know, these two pins are different. Neither one of them is bad. In fact, both of them have the same insert in them. One's titanium and one's bronze. Like, neither one of them is bad. One's a little heavier, one's a little bit lighter. And neither one of them is bad. Same thing. Yeah, don't let that bother you so much. I'm looking into the Velo humbuckers. If they seem awesome. What are some tones areas that they stand out? Okay, those are super fun pickups. Think big humbucker, but sounds more single coily, I guess. The clarity and there's a mid-range to them, but it's like mid-highs because it's not honky. It's not nasally. If you have Velos and you're in the comments, please talk about them and fill this dude in because they're super fun. They are really, really cool. And they got a fair amount of output to them too because they have a lot of magnet actually, as opposed to like a DAF or something. They're wound very similarly to a DAF, but the magnet situation is so different that they sound different. They are really cool, man. I really like them a lot. Any plans for Jazzmaster pickups? Yeah, we make them. Just send me a message on the internets. We have them. We sell them all the time. Yeah. Yeah, dude, you should get. And in fact, on the Tele stuff, you should get it this week because it's 15% off. So there you go. Taking care of you already. Let's see. Do you tin your soldering iron tip? Yes. I think people ask that because when they watch me solder live, like if I'm doing it in a video, you might not see me do it, but I do. Yeah. I actually just ordered replacement soldering iron tips today because we go through them, we use them a lot of hours. It seems that the signal weakens if the pole is being brought up out of the winding. However, if the pole is much longer than the bobbin depth, then it's still fully surrounded by the winding as you raise it, resulting in a stronger signal. Is that right? Oh, this is a deep one. Okay. He's talking about adjusting screw poles on a humbucker. Okay. You are correct when you say that when you raise the screws on a humbucker, you would think that it would make everything louder or stronger. But actually, the magnetic effect on the screw does lessen as it comes up out of the pickup because it comes up out of the pickup. So there is a breakover point there. I don't exactly know what that breakover point is because this is one of those things that people overthink way too much and I don't worry about it. But what I will say is, as you bring the screw up out of the pickup, even if it goes all the way through the coil, it doesn't matter about that so much. It matters the contact that it's having with the magnet. Because in a humbucker, the magnet is actually contacting that screw. There's a bar in there that the screw goes through that actually then makes direct contact with the magnet. If you lose contact with that magnet, the screw basically just becomes, It's not that the screw is within the coil. That's sort of important. That is important. But as it weakens, the entire thing weakens. It's not, how do I say this? The strength of the magnet is not equal all the way through the screw, especially as it gets taller. So there is a breakover point where if you raise the whole pickup, okay, yes, you will get more voltage. Yes and no. It will, let me just say, it will affect the signal when you raise it. If you raise just the screws, not necessarily. Not necessarily. That's a really interesting question. $800 for an EQ? No thanks. He must be talking about the Tonex cab. Well, there's a fairly well-engineered speaker enclosure. There's a speaker. There's a horn. There's a 700-watt amp. There's really good software. There's a whole lot of things and access to a whole world for $800. It's not just an EQ. And that thing's not just an EQ either. There's more to it than that. That's a really neat piece of kit. I really like it. I have it right here. I've been playing it a lot. I really like it a lot. Here is the truth table. This must be... Oh, the same thing. This is about the same thing, the Tonex cab. An IR is just a fancy EQ curve of a speaker mic plus room. Well, it's not true, but okay. You should be professional enough to be able to play your guitar and listen this way. Everybody did in the recording studios eventually. Okay, I cut his comment off, and I'll tell you why. Anytime somebody asks a question by saying, I'm smarter than you, or you should be smarter than this, speaking to the guitar community, I'm kind of over it. Not everybody knows all this stuff. I don't know it. That's why I had to reach out to Steve on this because from the Steve Strelacci YouTube channel, because I'm not super familiar with it. But what I do know is that IRs are more than EQ. It has a lot to do with mic phasing. There's a lot to do with it. IRs are very, very, there's a lot to it. Way more than I understand. So it's not just a glorified EQ. And this thing here is not a glorified EQ either. It doesn't just put mids in. It changes the entire... I wish I knew, actually. I would love to see what the plot of the EQ does as it moves, because the whole thing moves, right? It's not like... You would think, okay, all I'm doing is just like pushing an EQ up, or maybe I'm squishing the Q this way, or I'm moving it left and right. But it's not. It's like the whole thing is there's something, the whole thing's moving around. It's really cool. And so it's a lot smarter than just adjusting an EQ on the fly. Which I will pay the smart folks in the suits that design these things to do that. That's what I'm paying for. I think there's a lot of folks who think they know better. They get in a comment section on the YouTubes and be like, well, this is what it is, so it's not worth it. Well, okay. Then why do you work at McDonald's and live with your mom? If you were that smart, you would work at Tonex and you'd be playing with this stuff for a living. And you're not. I don't know why. I got a pretty good idea. Let's see. Bro. I automatically like this guy. Bro. Why do you hate so much on counterfeits? It's not any difference them building a replica of a Gibson and branding a Gibson to recreate a favorite childhood guitar if you can't afford to play Gibson or pay Gibson a car down payment. Well, both of those examples actually are counterfeit. And if you counterfeit something, I don't want to be friends with you. I'm totally against counterfeiting. I will not, if I have a friend who does it or supports it, I will not hang out with that person. I don't want to be associated with it. It's an illegal, gross thing. And if you like it, that's okay. That's totally fine. but we aren't going to be really good friends because that tells me about you. And I'm not that person. I can't do it. There's a lot of reasons. Well, I've developed products for many years, probably 20 years. I had my first invention when I was 9 years old, and have been making stuff ever since. And, trademarks and all the various things, and understanding all of that law, and defending my own products and having my own products. And so I very much care about intellectual property. I very much do. So I will not steal anybody else's. And if you can't afford to buy a Gibson, that's what Epiphone is for. And it's a great guitar, right? So if you can't afford to buy a Gibson, buy an Epiphone. They're fantastic. They're fantastic. But if you feel you need to counterfeit stuff, man, just be better. Be a better person. Can you suggest me a decent Telecaster around 400 euros? Greetings from Italy. I tell you what, you might have to go used. I don't know how much stuff costs over there. Okay. Cause I'm just not from there. And 400 euros, would that be like $550? Can you get a classic vibe for that? That's what I would get. And if you had to get a used classic vibe for 400 euros, that's what I would get. 100% I would get a classic vibe Tele. Yeah, absolutely. I've been reading on Reddit about these failing, the Tonex cab. My question would be there is how many? So this is kind of a cautionary thing for all of us when we see a product, when we see complaints about a product on the internet. Okay. Oh, they're failing. All of them? 20% of them? 5% of them? How do you know? Do you have accurate sales numbers on how many have been sold? How many have actually failed? Like real numbers. Have those people returned those things and gotten good customer service? Was it a software issue? Was it something that could be fixed with an update? Is it, what is it? You don't have any of that information. None of that information. So it's very difficult. If you have not had the problem yourself. Now, if you have had the problem yourself and it has turned you off to that product, I get that. Nobody likes to buy something for $800 and have it blow up. I actually had a Black Star tube amp blow up on me twice. And it really bummed me out. So I don't have it anymore. So that's a thing. I get that. But if it's something that you've heard on the internet, chances are, especially on Reddit, that somebody's going to be mad about something. 5 people are it might not even be true. It might not even be true. Do you know yesterday? I'll tell you a story. Yesterday, I got a comment on a video, and this guy was cussing me up and down, and saying that I was a jerk and whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I obviously didn't mean to offend you. Whatever. Don't want to ever offend anybody. I'm going to say it like it is, and if that is you and you feel offended, that's different. But I'm not going to come out to you and say, you're an idiot. I'm not going to do that. So this guy talks a bunch of trash, calls names, cussing, the whole deal, how my pickups suck, this and that. I ripped him off, etc., etc., etc. All in the comments. And of course, everybody's seeing this, Like, huh. So obviously his Scream name might not match his real name, but it was a proper name. His Scream name was a proper name. So I just did a quick search in my database. Nope, wasn't there. Okay. So maybe it's just a screen name. So I told the guy, I was like, hey, email me if you would, and let me see what the issue was. He's like, because I want a refund, $230. Okay. I mean, nobody's ever asked me for that before. Nobody's been so unhappy with what we've done that they've fully wanted a refund, super pissed. I was like, okay, well, let me just look into it. So I looked into it. I still couldn't find his name. And I said, well, email me. And so he emailed me. And he emailed me a routing number and a bank account number and said, just wire $230 to this bank account number. I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I said, I would be happy to look into this further if you could give me an order date, an approximate date, like what name was it ordered under, any kind of order number, anything. Give me anything, and I'll work with you, you know. Because I was like, because I can see that the account that you have with this name on it has been created, like the DylanTalksTone account has been created like 10 minutes ago. You know, you didn't exist. So I went back through the database, and you know, since 2011, this guy's never ordered from me. He's never spent a dime with me. I say all this to say, all of the trash that he was talking in the comments section that now other people may have formed an opinion on did not exist. Totally was not true. Not at all. So if you see a product that everybody's talking about it blowing up, you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt because it may not have happened. Somebody with a Tonex cab might have a problem. And somebody who hates modeling could be like, yeah, me too. And somebody else who hates modeling says, yeah, me too. Now you've got 3 people and 2 of them are fake. It happens all the time. It happened to me yesterday. And I documented in that comment stream because I was like, I want everybody else to know that this can happen. So, and it's, you know, screw that guy. But for doing that, you know. But just think about that and use that caution as you see stuff like this, you know, because man, that's not cool. Yeah, that's not cool. What guitars are you looking forward to getting this year? I don't know. I'm looking at PRSs right now, but I just don't know. I wonder if a similar, quieter version is coming of the Tonex thing. I dig the idea, but I don't gig, and 650 watts or whatever is way too much for my poor neighbors. Okay, so misunderstanding there. On something like this, you can play it at 0 volume, like really, really low. And remember that it does not affect any of the tone. That's just the volume, right? So it doesn't matter how loud it gets. It can get as quiet as you want it to get, which is really, really cool. That's a great benefit of that stuff. Can you show me it? With Fender Tone Master Pro, how it sounds? I cannot, but if you send me one, I would love to do a video with it. So if you have one and you want to let me borrow it, ship it over here, and we'll do that. How would you say the feel compares to the 4-cable method, i.e. running the modeler into the power amp of a tube amp head? That's a great question. I have not run this into a tube amp head and done that, but what I will say is you lose a lot. I've done it before because I used to do it with a Kemper. And you lose a lot of the nuance that the modeler gives you, especially with the effects and stuff. And it adds a layer that wasn't meant to be there as far as the tone goes. And I don't necessarily know how to say that, but to me, it's like I can tell it's going through something, if that makes sense. You know, in the old school days when you could tell that like a cassette tape was a copy of a copy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that, but you can I'm just using that as an illustration to say you can kind of just tell it's going through something. You lose a little bit of the fidelity of what you're trying to do with it in comparison to this. I think this is much better. Watch out for those scammers. Yeah. You really open yourself up to some abuse. I'm grateful you don't let it get to you. And thanks for the insight. Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, it's entertaining to me at this point. I've been doing this long enough that it doesn't bother me. I feel bad for, like, what is wrong with that person? I don't think about this in the sense that it like costs me emotionally, but I go, oh man, I feel bad for whoever that is. Their life must suck. For some reason, And then the other thing I think about too is, I hate it for the community. I hate it for the fact that, like what we just talked about, something like that can affect an entire community where everybody's now affected. They're like, oh crap, this product sucks because some ding dong did that, right? So I don't like that. I don't like that for the community. On the face of it, though, when I see comments like that, when I see people giving me crap in the comments or whatever, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. And if you don't believe me, when we see them, Brianna will see them. I will see them. My daughter-in-law, who lives an hour away, will text and be like, did you see this Joker in the comment? We laugh about it. It is entertainment to us at this point. So if you think that you're getting some sort of satisfaction out of talking crap about us or to us, you're not getting it, because we're laughing at your expense is really what it comes down to. Oh man. And it's fun. It's all right. I mean, don't do it just for that. I can tell when people are faking it, but let's see. I was waiting for you to talk about the quality of magnet wire. Dimensions and consistency, of course, matter, but does the quality of the copper and its permeability matter? On the face of it, when we're talking about making pickups, on the face of it, you could say yes, it does. However, it doesn't, in the respect that we're all using the same wire, basically. There's only a couple of companies in the world, pretty much, that people are using. And for the most part, everybody's using Electrosola. And you can complain if you want, but most, like about quality and stuff. But it's not like you're, okay, well, let's just say this. The hobbyist, okay? The hobbyist, if you're buying parts off of eBay on some no-name spool of wire because you're trying to put together a bunch of stuff for as cheap as you can. And I get that because as a hobbyist, this might affect you more because like to buy from the suppliers I buy from, you have to buy like a lot, right? So, and you're not going to, if you're a hobbyist at home experimenting with some pickups, you're not going to buy as much as I buy. So you're going to find it, maybe on eBay or something. So then, yeah, maybe you could run into some bad wire, quote unquote. At that level though, I would not worry about it a whole lot, because what you worry about there is consistency over time, of making lots of them, and you're not going to make a lot of them. So is your pickup going to sound bad because you don't use the same wire I do? No. Your pickup might sound bad because it's the first one you ever made and you need some practice. And then by the third one with the same wire, it sounds pretty good. And the result is fine. And it doesn't matter what wire you used, because you made a pickup that works and you like it and it sounds good. Now, when you're making 200-300 pickups a month like we are, it matters more. We're going through 10 pounds of wire a month, which is a lot. So, that's a lot. So then the consistency really matters. Because it's miles and miles and miles of wire a month. So that's a different thing. But you also have to be able to buy that much, right? So, yeah, it's different. How come HSH configuration is frowned upon? It's not. We sell it all the time. People buy, in fact, I built one today. People buy single hum loaded pickguards from us almost weekly. That's a really, really fun thing. Yeah, there's a really fun thing. Do you also have a RV camper type channel? We do not have an RV camper type channel, but youtube.com/Dylan Leslie is like our kind of off topic channel. Good out of the box, and you keep changing pickups. Oh, this is the cheap guitar, like the $500 to $800 guitar video that we did. And I was like, they're great out of the box, and these are the pickups that I would put in them for fun. You know, you got to remember that we're doing this for fun. So half the fun of having an inexpensive guitar is doing mods. And so we, of course, will suggest mods, and changing pickups is one of those things, which is fun, super fun. At 9:10, really, it's obvious why. You have to pre-measure and pre-cut your string. Pain in the ass. There's a reason we moved past these. We have superior designs that offer the same function without the drawbacks. IDGAF about vintage mojo. We're talking about not changing must be talking about not changing the safety post tuners on a Tele or a Strat. Okay, so this is a funny one because you have to pre-measure and pre-cut your string. Well, unless you're one of those weirdos that doesn't cut your string at all, you're cutting the string the same exact amount of times that I am. So if you do it after or before, it's the same exact amount of times. It's not hard to figure the length. I think we said in the video, a tuner and a half passed. Super easy. So you won't get it wrong. Tuner and a half passed, does it right every time. So there really is no pain about it, and I find it a lot faster, to be honest with you. And there's not really any possibility for slippage because of the way it locks when it goes in there. Man, it's awesome. I love those tuners. I think they're great. HSH is cool. I just got my first HSH. Oh, cool. Yeah, man. Those are awesome. I dig that a lot. Do you add treble bleeds to Strats? I don't like treble bleeds because what happens is they end up being very thin sounding, especially on a Strat, and I just don't like that. What is your opinion on the Vega trim? That's a really cool tremolo. I don't have the need for a tremolo on a Telecaster. I'm going to leave a Telecaster alone when it comes to that. But a lot of people really like that thing, and I have installed them on guitars for people. Or let me say, I've been present for some guitar builds where those were being installed, and I've gotten to mess around with them a bunch. And first of all, they're very quality pieces. They're very nice. Second of all, they work really well. They're very unique in how they work, but they work very well. They're really cool. So I would say, yeah, if you're into it, get one. I know everybody wants to talk about tone all the time, complains Dylan Talks Tone. Huh? Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I think it's important to talk about the peripheral things to the actual tone because they all affect it. And there's a lot of things that you have to talk about before you ever get there. Technically, when we're talking about guitar setup, we're not talking about tone. We're talking about how pickups are made. We're not talking about tone. When we're talking about strings, we're not really talking about tone. When we're talking about frets, we're not talking about tone. We're not talking about tone probably most of the time. Tone is the end result of all the other things. So just a different perspective change, really. For me personally, too. Like that's been a direction change that I'm trying to take the channel in a little bit. 927, you took a chip out of the fretboard. No big deal with just one. But if you did that 20 times on both sides, 42 dings, I bet that guitar would not look very good. He's right. So when I did on my Strat, on my American Standard Strat, or the Indonesian Standard Strat, I did hit the fretboard with the file in the video. It looks way worse than it is because that will kind of happen when you bottom out it doesn't happen all the time. I couldn't see what I was doing because I was trying to do it on the camera at the same time. When I'm actually doing it, not on camera, I'm kind of like facing a different direction so I can see it better. That being said, I didn't really do damage to the guitar. It touched the wood, but it didn't take a chip out of it. And And like you just rub it with your thumb and it doesn't even show. So it looks way worse on camera than it actually was, just so everybody knows. But yeah, you have to be careful a little bit with that stuff. Do you live on a boat? No. I don't know where that one came from either. That's funny. Don't you have to change the neck pickup to a 3-wire? Oh, when we're going to a 4-way setup. Yes, you do. You have to what you do is you snip the wire, the ground, so that the cover's not grounded, and then you run a wire separately from the cover to ground. You just ground the cover separately. When we do a 4-way setup, so if you let's say you're going to go to DylanTalksTone right now and for 15% off, buy a 4-way setup from us, we will just include it. We'll just include it. And when you buy just the wiring from us, the wiring diagram will show that you need to do that. So there you go. Well, cool. That was a bunch of questions, man. We got through a bunch of stuff, and we got to answer a bunch of y'all's too. This was really fun. I like doing these every once in a while. Thanks for hanging out, man. I hope that you all have an excellent evening, and I guess we'll see you tomorrow when we talk about strings again.